Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review. We're the host of the WDYSA anime podcast. Nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, the Riverbank Boys of the WDYSA anime podcast will be reviewing the 2012 anime Daily Life of High School Boys. Let's meet today's underwear gnomes. Short list today due to some circumstances happening at the exact same time, but first up, he is also the rubber band hero due to his large stacks of cash. We have Cat. Cat, how's it going?
Man, I wish I had large sets of cash, honestly.
Damn, dude, I'm trying to
I
gas you
am.
up.
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I am happy to be here with you guys.
Glad you are here. Our first moderator tonight, wishing he could relive some of his daily life as a high school boy right now. We have Miles. Miles, how's it going?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, the Glory Days third string linebacker dating Brianna Mello, it was just truly what Glory Days. No offense, Bri.
I'm sure Kayla is happy. And Pat.
What's up, guys? Alrighty, yeah. I had to get ready earlier there because I had such a short cast tonight, but that should lead to some more authentic discussion too. I think we'll have some good stories to share about the show called, once again, The Daily Lives of High School Boys. It came out in 2012. Looks like the winter season, and it's done by Sunrise, who are famous for Gintama, Cowboy Bebop, Code Geass, and yeah, this show too, I guess. So yeah, let's get into our discussion right away. First, let's give our first impressions. So first couple episodes, spoiler free. Not that the show is very spoiler heavy, I don't think. But yeah, Miles, why don't you set us off?
Yeah, sure. So this was on the long list of shows I owe my friend Sarah in order to make her read Human Echo. So I nominated it because my general strategy has been to nominate those shows so that I have incentive to watch them. And they do an okay job of winning, though one of them was a Remo. So, fuck you, Sarah. Um, so, I knew this was like a sketch comedy or whatever going in. I thought, truthfully, that it would probably be like a little dull, and I wasn't. I wasn't like super far off on that. Like, I thought it was like a little boring, but I also thought parts of it were genuinely funny. I think that's a thing that we'll probably get to talk about when something is just so comedy focused 100% of the time and there really isn't a plot or anything. Even 10 minutes of there not being a good joke can seem like a long time, I feel like, as opposed to something where there's like a Marvel movie where maybe one out of every six quips hits you, but I don't know, Thor's murdering people with a hammer in between it, so it's okay. Overall, I would say if you like sketch comedy, slice of lifey type of stuff, watch this. And if that's not really your jam, I bet there are great YouTube compilations of this show for you to check out. So
That's a really good comment because I think yeah, this is the kind of show I think is best enjoyed by just watching the YouTube, the whatever the 15-minute cut down of the entire show is into a YouTube video. That's a really good call. But yeah, Kat, what about you? What do you think?
I I actually didn't find this show dull at all. Then again, my first impression of the show was like in 2016 when I was just getting an anime. This was one of the shows that like I sat down and watched the whole thing in like I think it was 2 days, and I could not stop laughing. Today, after watching it, like I just remember like all of the old gags, laughing, laughing my ass off like throughout the show. This is one of those shows that, e- e- even though it's very heavily comedy focused, I found a lot of the jokes to hit more for me than to miss. So there wasn't a lot of time for me to just be like, okay, it's the same old joke again. Like even with some of the more outlandish jokes, like panties and stuff like that, like it was they were always a little bit different enough for me to at least get a chuckle out of, and I really enjoyed that. I would definitely recommend it because it's one of my favorite like comedy shows. Now, is it for everyone? Not really. If you're not into like heavy comedy stuff, if you're not into gag humor, this would not be the show for you. But if that is up your alley, like a show like Nichijou or something like that, this is definitely a show that you would love to check out.
Fair enough. Alrighty. And Pete, what about you?
Yeah, my thoughts are kind of going to mirror the two. To me, this is more of like Saturday Night Live, where every now and then you get like a Donald Trump sketch and it bombs, but then sometimes you get a dick in the box and like you're laughing your ass off. Like it's in between there, where like Miles said, 10 minutes of not funniness seems like an eternity, and then we have stuff like the riverbank scenes where I would watch an entire show of that, where I thought that was like comedy gold.
I
To me,
legit want a riverbank rom-com.
oh yeah,
You're
me
100%
too.
correct.
I
Yeah.
think the concept is there, like for sure. Um, but like what Kat said, I think that if you do like this gag humor skit style shows, I think shows like Nishijo, Asobi Asobase, Psyche K, shows like that do a better job at like the pure comedy than what this show is doing. But I would still recommend this show if you are just looking to sit back, relax, and watch something funny. I think that this show does exactly what it sets out to. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's like a staple, but I think it's a very solid comedy.
Yeah. I'll agree with most of the thoughts so far as well. I think it does make me laugh. There are a lot of like relatable moments for us, for people who used to be high school boys. I think even if we're from the United States rather than from Japan, I think a lot of the struggles of youth translate. I do think it was very funny, but I also think it would have struggled to keep my attention if it wasn't dubbed or at least I actually watched the fan dub of this, and I watched it at 1.5 times speed as well. And I think that that helped the show immensely because like what Miles was talking about, there were like chunks of episodes where I was sitting there like, is this really what they're going on and talking about? Because like yeah, most of the bits hit, but when they don't hit, they really missed, at least for me. So I would recommend this for someone who's looking to waste time or looking for that slice of life thing that and they've already watched Laid Back Camp, basically, or they've already watched some of the other more story oriented slice of lives. But I don't know, I'm gonna be shocked if we talk about this for more than like 45 minutes of the actual show beyond we can talk about our personal lives all we want, and I'm sure we will this episode, but I'd be shocked if we really take too long with this because there's not a lot to follow in my opinion. But again, I would recommend it for people looking for more slice of life after Layback Camp. But yeah, all right, that's our spoiler-free review. It's 12 episodes. I believe it's on Crunchyroll, among other places as well. At least the sub is, and yeah, let's get started right away. So, spoilers going forward. All right, who wants to spoil the entire plot of the show?
I'll spoil the entire plot. Some boys do high school stuff, and sometimes some girls do high school stuff, and sometimes they do it together.
There's girls in this show?
There are, and they're
They
funky.
are funky.
Yes.
Okay.
It's high school girls are funky was actually a pretty big bright spot for me in this. I think generally because there were less sketches, it was probably easier to just like throw the more high quality ones out there. So the show was basically just a series of different sketches, maybe 4 to 5 sketches in an episode or so. Then there was usually followed up by last sketch, which would sometimes, or I would say usually would be high school girls are funky, but sometimes was something else. Um, I thought it was a good time. I don't really know how to start. I guess because there really isn't a plot or anything. A quick question for you guys. Out of the groups that we followed, right? The various student council groups, the main cast of characters, and then the corresponding girls' school student council, and then the high school girls are funky. For me, the least entertaining group was like our main group of guys. Did anyone else find that? Or
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of
okay.
agree with you.
I like the bits
Uh,
with the girls more too. So yeah, I think I kind of agree with you too.
I
It's
I
crazy to
I
think
think
about.
for me, I liked every other bit where like it was. I loved when the main group was being paired up with one of the other groups,
Yes.
and just like even just like the student council of the boys, like just them was hilarious to me. But like a lot of the just straight up boys didn't miss, and which is why like the later episodes where the main dude wasn't there was even more enjoyable for me because we weren't focusing on them as much.
I think I related to the main group a little bit too much because some of their times where it's just like they're spending their summers playing video games instead of like, getting girlfriends. I was like, yeah, that was me when I was, 9 through 18. It's like
9 through 32.
9 through 31. But like it was fun to just like branch outside of like another part of like high school antics that maybe I wasn't involved in as much or something like that, where it's like, yeah, you know what, I was kind of the main character playing on his DS when it's like perfect out and
that's
go ride your bike or something, like, or I can play World of Warcraft, like,
yeah. So me and my buddies would be like down in my basement, right, playing some like Halo 3 or something. My mom would come out and be like, "It's a beautiful day outside. What are you guys doing? Go outside." And we would either grab a deck of Magic cards or our DSs and go onto the porch and play games outside, which was lovely. It was a great time.
Yes.
But like it's true, like that really does, like, the summer break stuff was great. I also liked how there were like 3 summer breaks in this show. Just like at random intervals. And one of them even makes a joke at one point about how they don't need to worry about ever moving up a grade. Because of the type of show that they're in.
There was some funny like trope knocks that they do.
Yeah, a lot of meta humor in the show, which always makes me happy. Like, I think that, like, on one hand, like, for sure it's lazy and like it's an easy way to make a situation that isn't that funny, but on the other hand, it makes that situation funny.
Yes.
So
can I also just make a statement, just because we do have a member here that may not like that may fall into this category a little bit. I have had a girlfriend and I have kissed a girl. I just want to make that clear on the podcast. I just want to make that clear.
You don't have to call me out like that.
Sorry, Pat.
No, I'm kidding.
That's
Don't say it. Don't be that guy.
Right.
You don't have to go there. Let our listeners figure it out.
Yeah. Let's
Cool.
yeah.
This is
All right,
not
now
the
that we're done
humor of
talking
the
about-
podcast. Yeah, let's
now
go.
that we're done talking about Johnny, let's move on.
Johnny's had a girlfriend. We can't knock him for it anymore.
Oh, that's true.
As short-lived as that might have been, it existed, and that was a period of time.
That's
And
part of your daily life as a high school boy.
Exactly.
Legit. Okay, so like, I mean, kinda. I don't know. I dated a lot of girls for like a month in high school, so.
Okay,
I
you
feel that.
player. All right.
And then you're like, well, I mean, you date them for like a month, and then you're like, oh, I don't know anything about you, so let's break up.
Yeah.
I'm a little different because I dated my high school girlfriend for 7 years, but like, yes, I get it.
I did not know my co-host was a whore.
Well, I was a serial monogamist. Is how I like to.
Do you guys notice how we're not talking about the show, but we're
yeah,
having more
there's
fun
definitely
than we are
things to talk
talking
about
the show?
on the show. Yeah, we're talking about things that sort of relate. Speaking of girlfriends, let's talk about the riverbank scenes. Those are fun, and I liked them.
Yes.
The ending one was really, really good. I like
So
that.
yeah, that's the thing I do want to touch on. There were like a couple of scenes in this show that out of nowhere were just very touching, and I feel like
Yeah.
it kind of had no right to do that based on the rest of the show, but it did it, and I mean, I thought it was good. But to the riverbank, I think that was generally going to be everyone's favorite skits that they have, which involves Hidenori being on a riverbank, like reading, and then like a girl was also reading by him, and it was their way of flirting was like very kind of fun and also like super high school, where he was just trying to like, does anybody like, okay, for Pete, you guys are probably too young for this, but your away messages on AIM, right? Yeah. So like,
too young for that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, you guys won't get it. So like, back before Facebook existed, and before Facebook died for anyone under the age of 50, we used AOL Instant Messenger to talk to each other.
Yes,
and
we did.
when you were away from your computer, you could put up an away message. So like, if they messaged you, it would just do it. But you always had like, it was like, okay, what are like the most popular but also still obscure but kind of meaningful but not too meaningful song lyrics or poem thing that I can put up? Or like, if you're funny, you can do like jokes or something like that. So it reminded me a lot of like that, where he was trying to come up with poetic things to say, and she was sort of judging him based on it, and like the more meaningless is that the wow I just forgot how English works. Anyways, the less sense it made, the better, and it was like talking about the wind, and that was just so like, I don't know, like I'm 15 and this is deep, like when you're like, yeah, you know what I mean, it's like you've read your first freaking Robert Frost poem or whatever, and you're taking your own crack at it.
Yeah, you listen to like "God Bless the Broken Road" by Rascal Flatts once. It's like this hits me right in the heart. It's like, dude, you're like 12. Like none of these words mean anything to you.
And for like not white people, it's like the first time you listen to "Dance with the Devil" by Tech Nine.
What category do I fall into? Because I don't know either of these songs.
What?
You're not there yet. You're still
I guess
in
I'm
middle
not
school.
white.
I think Pete and I are just showing our boomer off.
Yeah, no,
right now.
for sure. Like you're checking all the boxes of like 8th grade flirting, and like, but like, I guess maybe like an introverted way of flirting, because nobody knew how to flirt when we were in 8th grade or whatever, or even in high school, or even now. Like,
oh, it had to be so subtle. Do you remember 143 for like? You would do like some code and then like 143 for like "I love you," but you didn't want to be like, you would never like say that. I don't know if that was Minnesota meta, but that was Massachusetts meta for sure.
Oh, because that's how many letters are in "I love you."
Word, yeah. So like, you had your girlfriend, right?
that was,
so I would
that was
been
Northeast meta for sure.
Oh, okay, Northeast meta. That makes sense. It's pretty soft.
Yeah.
That's but there's a bunch of enjoyable stuff like that.
Did you know that Azerbaijan is what the country code of 143 is? So
I didn't.
Well, now you do, and must be the country of "I love you."
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So, God, this is a little bit difficult. How do you guys think that the show did on building on its bits? I think that sometimes it didn't do a great job, but the riverbank scene is one where it does a good job of building on them, where they switch it up a bunch, and then it shows the girl in school, and she, like, people know that she's like crazy there because they're like, wait, weren't you like chasing that boy from like a different school or whatever? And so that's something I think I would have liked to see more throughout the show, is more interplay from the bits. But is it possible that I missed it, or do you guys think that that's something that should be like improved upon?
I thought that, like, on one that I think you might not have liked as much as I did, just the painting interplay was hilarious to me.
You're right.
Oh, my chest hurts. But one of the things about that whole bit was like how it started off, like, I won't say innocent, but it started off small and then it like slowly snowballed.
That is something
then, and
Go ahead.
then like at the end it was just like somebody who's barely outside of this, and then he's just like, I'm here too. I'm sorry.
No, I did actually like the absurdities that like, one, I thought that the way that it sort of started was a little insane. Like, I just can't imagine. Dude, I don't have siblings. I don't get it. But I feel like if my buddies were like searching around my younger sister's panties, my reaction wouldn't be to also steal her panties. However,
pretty normal then.
Yeah, look at me go. Really nailed down being normal. But I like the situation where the one guy did it to show solidarity, and then the other two sold him out immediately. I thought was funny and pretty like being a high school boy, where you do like the reverse psychology prank on your friend to make them do something ridiculous or whatever, and then just pretend like it was their idea. So I do think that there was like good humor there, but just to me, the concept of being like, let's steal my little sister's panties was like a little bit too much for me to swallow.
And then wear them?
And then wear them. Yeah, they did change into them as well. That was,
because it's like one thing to be curious and then be like, oh, what do they look like? Cool. All right. And then whole other thing to be like, let's wear them. You know,
Yeah, and it could have just been like her school uniform or something, which would have been a lot less weird than like the bra and the whole underwear set. Um, but like anime is gonna anime, you know. So I guess it was probably inevitable. There's the other panty bit with Ringo where they set up this entire thing just so they can look at her panties. Um, or one of the guys does, and then the other person just like lets him do it. And then it's like, now don't you feel guilty? And he's like, yes.
I
And I
did
was
like the punchline for that one, but I think like the overall scheme of like how many panty jokes skits that they have was like way too much. I thought like like if they just did like the first one in the first episode and that was it, I think I would have been like totally fine with it. But I think there's like 4 in the entire show, and to me it just seems like that's one of those things where it's like we're running out of material. Let's do a panty joke type of thing. We're like, this joke's already been done before. That's kind of like how I felt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I also think it's like a little tired, but I don't know. You know, it could just be like cultural differences or something because I feel like American high school boys were like horny in like a completely different sort of way because like we definitely are.
Oh yeah.
You know, but that feels more like oh, it's summer, so we could. Oh, they did have that fun bikini bit. I forgot about that where they like
Yeah, that
they
was
they
good.
thought yeah, but it was like the guy was actually just into the food or whatever. I thought that was pretty funny. But I guess that's more of like what I would like to have seen because, you know, being like, oh, we get to see girls in bikinis now is like a lot more, I guess, how I was as a high schooler, and I feel like the show should do exactly how I was. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't.
It should cater to me.
It should cater to me specifically.
An
um,
American.
yeah. No. Here's a real question. Why did the president strip completely naked to switch clothes in the haunted house?
Oh, great question.
Sending a signal?
But yeah, maybe he knew Ringo would rush through it, and he was like, "I'm trying to, you know, like he's like a little bit Deshaun Watson."
Oh, accidental.
Oh, no.
Oh, I
I
fell
definitely-
over. Oh, I fell
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah, like I definitely had to change my boxers to get out of the zombie costume I was in. That was required.
Oh, can you massage a bit lower, please?
Yes.
Ooh.
There we go.
You know, I guess there's stuff like that. I don't know. I guess I feel, and you guys can let me know how you think, that being a high school boy or girl or whatever, being in high school is ridiculous enough, and you care about such unimportant things enough that you can just do a comedy about that without doing the over exaggerated, oh, walking in when someone's changing sort of trope. Like, you didn't need to rely on all of those tropes as much because I think there's just enough material with, you know, with that,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Or you could play the tropes less straight and, you know, just have him sitting outside of a room waiting, trying to figure out if he should go in even though she could be changing or not. And then like, she's just not even in the room or something, you know, like bits like that. Because I think like overthinking things is super high school. You know, just doing like 74D chess about, you know, how long your crush takes to text you back and stuff like that. Which is, I guess, like another thing that I think was like sort of missing. There wasn't a lot of like no one had crushes on anyone or anything except for that one girl had the crush on Glasses Guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But other than that, it wasn't, you know what I mean? There wasn't any romance.
Was it horny enough? for
Well, it
Miles?
doesn't need to be horny. It's just like, I don't know. Like, isn't that like when you guys were in high school? Maybe this was just this Massachusetts thing, but it was always like, oh, who do you have a crush on? Who do you like? Like that was like
Yeah.
people were like super focused on that. And I don't know if Japan is just like different about that, but I don't know. I've seen Toradora, so maybe it's not.
I've seen one anime that was different. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
well,
seen-
Kaguya
seen a
as
lot
well.
of anime where
Yeah.
all they talk about is, oh, who are you crushing on? Like
Yeah,
every school
and
anime
the
ever.
answer, and the answer is always the male protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they did it once where it was the fake love letter thing where
Yeah.
it's like, you remember like when your friend, maybe it was you, but let's be real, when your friend got the first girlfriend of your friend group and you were all just like super jealous and like, okay, Miles, and like wanted to see like what they were doing or like that type of thing. I thought that how they handled it in this story was really well done, because I remember like when my friend like wanted to go meet up with a girl at like the park, it's like, okay, sure. And then like as soon as he leaves, like we all like follow him to the park to like see what's going on. And like they kind of did the same thing.
Oh my god, so that honestly, that's super true. So like out of my friend group, it probably would have been my friend Matt Gurish, who was like the cutest guy. He was athletic and everything. Like all the ladies loved Matt Gurish. And Matt Gurish loved turning down the ladies. So but like if you knew he was like talking to someone or whatever, it's like, oh, like they're going to a movie together, right? Like I'd call him immediately, and like her best friend would call her, and then the two friends, we would call each other and like do reports on the dates and stuff. That was probably more middle school, but like still,
Probably high school still like that too a little bit.
I
think.
know it definitely is like pretty similar, which is, I mean, it's fun. Like I definitely think they get some of the vibes right. I just think that I don't know. You know what? Honestly, high school probably was boring. Maybe it fits. Like, like some of the stuff that I cared about in high school was so stupid.
Oh yeah.
And like, maybe the show does a freaking great job about it, and I'm just an old curmudgeon-y man now.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we had to use AOL Instant Messenger and T9 texting.
We didn't have Uber. We had to ride our bike.
It was, Mom, can I get a ride to the mall?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Fun thing, okay. Since you brought that up, did your mom not let you do something even when you were like 16? My mom wouldn't let me cross the highway. And so like if I had to go if I wanted to go to the movies, I would have to get a ride from my mom, even if I was like 16 and I still had like my driver's permit. Do you guys ever have something weird like that?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know. So my
maybe
dad
this is a Minnesota meta thing.
Yeah, my dad moved across the country for work my senior year, and my mom was super busy taking care of like selling the house and all this other
You're
stuff.
a Japanese male protagonist in an
Yeah,
anime?
so I actually just got to do whatever the hell I wanted my senior year. My mom was just like, don't do anything too stupid and make it home eventually, and like I did, but like all sense of a curfew and everything was just gone. But one time I remember we went to Providence, like me and my friends, and when one of their moms found out, they were like so mad they didn't tell him. And I was just like, oh, it's weird that you like have to do that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to play M-rated video games until I was like 15 or 16.
Okay.
Or I wasn't allowed to own, I should say. I was allowed to play them at other friends' houses. But like, yeah, so I guess that was probably my thing, and which frustrated the shit out of me because I just wanted to play COD with the boys, and I wasn't allowed to until like my sophomore or junior year at high school.
Yeah, probably until like I think sophomore year of high school. My mom, like, if I was playing video games for more than 2 hours, my mom would come in and be like, "You need to," like, she would first she would like come in and tell me to like stop playing and like do something else, and then she would like actually turn off my console, take my controller, and then keep it in a room until I did something for at least 2 more hours.
That seems like a reasonable parent thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't allowed to play video games during the week either, but only on the weekend. It sucked. That was the most awful thing to ever happen.
Pete was Cartman from frickin' Make Love Not Warcraft.
Hey, as long as my parents had the best bribe. Is just as long as I had good grades, I could play as much video games as I wanted. And if you thought that motivated me, it did.
I did get credit for getting a B once.
Damn.
Like on a test. Yeah, I know. Life was hard.
It is.
Let's see. Okay. Back to the show, of which there's lots to talk about. There probably is, but we're just not good enough at media analysis to like really get into like the meta of sketch comedy. So
it's just like, did you find it funny? Did you like it? If you didn't find it funny, you probably didn't like it.
There's probably like the timing of this is impeccable, and here's why. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm less good at that as I am.
Okay. Well, how about like did you find like how they set up like punchlines in the show funny at all?
Sometimes.
Okay, so because there's a few where like him finding out at the end of the summer vacation at his grandma's that like actually we're first cousins. Like I thought that punchline was like really good.
But we knew that was going to happen.
I know, but like how they set it up, I thought was like really well done, and I thought it like delivered like through like I don't know how he just like portrayed himself as a character and like how his voice sounded during that scene was like. I just thought like the punchline nailed it. I guess I really like the punchlines in the show. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I definitely like some of them. Habura, who's best girl, by the way.
Ooh, hot take.
Dropping the rock is like the funniest thing in the entire world.
That's a 10 out of 10 scene.
Yeah.
That is my favorite scene in the show. Because like they had built her up as like being insane and sort of implied that she wasn't anymore. But then when they're like fighting, she like secretly grabs a rock and is just gonna bash one of their heads in, and like is so resistant to the idea of there being rules, which I thought was hilarious. Like, you were ready to fight. Why do you need rules?
Yeah.
Like, what? That's like that line goes hard,
Yeah.
right? Like, I could see like freaking Thanos or something saying that, but it's just this high school girl.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that sounds like a freaking Griffith line or something. But like, you know, it's just freaking Habura.
The other one that's like that, that's less psychotic, is when they're playing ping pong and they have to name black world leaders, and it's like Obama. He's like, "That's the one I was going to take."
Yeah.
Every time I see that clip, I laugh my ass off. I think that ping pong scene is so funny.
Yeah, that is very funny. I really liked the scene where he's talking about his friend and like all the things that he does that like annoys him, and it like slowly goes into like how he's such like a good friend about the things he does.
Yes.
You know, and it's like I don't know. I just found that like really like heartfelt.
How he like sits in the chair and annoys him. It's like, you know that one individual, like no matter what they do, it's like, I hate how he takes 2 seconds to breathe in. It's like, I hate that about that person. Just like how he sits on the chair and it's like, I hate that about that person.
Yeah, but it's got like a 10 things I hate about you vibe,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Where at the end you can tell that he like cares about him a lot,
Mhm.
and it's nice.
It's kind of like how I feel about my roommate, because sometimes like just doing the same thing over and over again and doing it the exact same way, and it's like sometimes I want to take your coffee mug and smash it over your fucking head.
That's why
But
roommates
It's not
suck.
very nice to say about your wife, Kat. Come on. No, I'm kidding. I know you have another roommate. But yeah,
We
I
don't promote domestic violence.
I know. Do we not? This is the second time we've had to do that.
I think beating your
I think
roommate still might be domestic violence.
it is violence that happens domestically. That is true. But either way, didn't we have to do a disclaimer like that one time too? Because of something else I said. I feel like I did. I feel like I remember that.
Wouldn't surprise
I don't
me.
know. We say a bunch of stuff. 50 people listen to our show, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Yeah, no one listens to me, especially. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, do we have anything else to talk about? Or do we
I
wanna
do.
close it
The
out?
ED was
Okay, good.
awesome.
Yes,
I
it
loved
was.
the
ED
ED.
was
I watch it
awesome.
every time.
It was
I don't
good.
know what about it made me love it so much, but it's like legit one of my favorite EDs ever. I think I need EDs to have like a mildly annoying voice, because my favorite ED of all time is Sachan Sexy Curry from season 2, I think, of Food Wars, which I think a lot of people find very annoying, but I find to be the best ED of all time. So that's a bit of a hot take, but I love that. I don't know. There were a lot of things in this show that were really fun. The High School Girls is Funky intro I thought was wicked fun each time. I didn't really fuck with the OP, but I got what they were going for. They were like trying to make it a little more serious than like the situation one was as a joke. And I think we would be reminiscent. I'm just trying to fit in everything I could possibly think about of the show, and we're running through it quick. But episode 1 of the show I thought was really funny, and the opening gag with him running with the toast and then his friend running with like ramen
Yeah.
was like super funny. And I think that the show is bookended really well with the last episode, which I think might be my favorite episode of
It's
the
up
show.
there, yeah.
Yeah. Like, they do great callbacks. They show that the friends like got that guy like the actual Gunpla model instead of the knockoff one. They had, and I think some of this was just like a dream or whatever, but they did provide some good closure to it. They showed that like, you know, Riverside girl and boy might like go on a date or something. which was nice.
Love that.
Even though the wind was cutting that day or whatever the line was, the wind is crying or something.
The wind is lashing out, and
the wind is lashing out, but it's not bad or something.
But it's not weeping sad tears; it's weeping tears of joy.
Yes. The part where like her novel got spilt out and he could like read it was like super funny. The part where they were describing Ringo as their ideal girl was pretty funny, and like Ringo didn't even pick up on it. She's like, no one exists like that, because she doesn't realize that everyone makes fun of her. It's pretty fun. I really liked Ringo. Her name means apple in Japanese, which I think is adorable. So yeah, I don't know. Does anyone else have anything to talk about besides that?
So this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. We've talked about things that we have related to, but like things that have happened to us that we think could be skits is one of the things that we were talking about earlier. I can go first.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure. So me and Pete were talking about this before the show, and I was telling him about one of the things that happened that I'm still kind of embarrassed about. But when I think I was a sophomore in high school. TikTok was still like Musically or something like that, but it was like starting some trends here and there, and I was like, I'm gonna start a trend, and I always wore hoodies in high school. So instead of wearing my hoodie normally, I wore my hoodie like over my shoulder, and I did that for 4 months trying to start a trend, and everybody around me was like, you're a moron.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? And I didn't stop. I kept with the bit, like, honestly, until, like, one of my teachers, because we always had uniforms, and if we weren't in uniform, we ended up having to go to, like, detention or something. I wasn't wearing my uniform. I wasn't wearing my collared shirt. And they realized it because of the way I was wearing my hoodie. And they were like, you should really stop wearing your hoodie like that. I wouldn't have noticed if you weren't wearing your shirt like a moron. And that was like the coldest thing that a teacher's ever told me. And I was like, okay, man.
I feel like just fashion sense in high school could probably just be an entire skit itself. Maybe another thing dating me. Do you remember Jinko jeans?
Wait, what?
Okay, you might want to Google that. Miles got it immediately. If anyone remembers Jinko jeans, where they're just like, yeah, right. That was a thing. Luckily, that was one thing I never got into, but a lot of my friends were rocking those. Yeah.
MC Hammer pants?
Yeah, essentially, and they have shorts too, which are kind of the same thing, but yeah, that was a thing for a minute. Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think high school...
Why are they $225?
I think high school fashion, it could just be a skit itself, like, for sure. Like, everybody, like, the cool kids wore Hollister and Abercrombie. I guess maybe, like, the goth kids wore, like, who was a band, Avenged Sevenfold t-shirts or something like that. I'm just trying to think of, like... Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you could do an entire skit on just what you wore in high school. Oh, shit, that reminds me.
No wonder Pete is just so fucked up.
What? I'm not saying I had fashion sense, but I never wore Jinko jeans, that's for sure. I'm just thinking back on like my high school days of like what I wore to school, and I remember in like 10th grade, every day I wore a dress-up shirt. Like I wore jeans and a button-up shirt all the way down, and like I never wore t-shirts. I never wore any sweatpants when it was cold, never. And now looking back at that, holy shit, what was I thinking? That was so bad. Oh, I'm having flashbacks.
My dad still wears that, actually.
I get too warm in the snowy weather.
But like, it was like the same 4 dress shirts. Like, I didn't have. Oh my god, that's so
I had a
bad.
school uniform, so I wore the same 4 dress shirts.
I wish I did.
One time I went to a school dance. This is middle school, but like I wanted to be cool, so I wanted to wear like all black. But the only black pants I had was my karate gi pants, so I wore those.
Oh no!
Yeah, I wore those with Chuck Taylors, and like some black shirt from Hot Topic, and then I didn't have hair gel to gel my hair down because, like, as you guys can see, it's poofy, and it was even more so. Like I had like a complete like Jew fro going on
Love it.
in middle school, and so in order to keep it down, I was like, well, I don't have hair gel, so I'll just put conditioner in it. So I just like put conditioner in my hair to try to like, and that didn't work because that's not how conditioner works.
No.
So yeah, so that was the thing that I did that probably could make a pretty good skit.
Thank you for making me feel better.
You're welcome, buddy.
I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I feel much better about my cringe 10th grade wardrobe selection.
Now, mind you, this was 7th grade that I did this, but
I feel like all of us have had some mishaps with fashion.
Still do.
Yeah. I'll be honest. And sometimes I don't know what I'm thinking. But Pat, you've been oddly silent.
Well, I just wore either on game days for hockey or lacrosse. We always wear dress clothes,
Yep.
so I'd always wear those. And then otherwise I'd be wearing like gym clothes, like athletic fit, just because it was comfier and I wouldn't start sweating in the middle of class because I got warm because the schools were always hot and I sweat like a pig. So I don't know. I think,
Okay, you're practical. We get it.
so
yeah.
wait, were you guys allowed to wear your jerseys?
For soccer is what we did, but for hockey and lacrosse, we had to dress up. We had
Yeah.
to
Oh,
be,
okay.
we had to look good on game day. Like, just some.
We
Like,
had to dress up
Matt-
on home games, home matches,
Matt-
I guess.
I guess I mean I had to wear a tie and a
Keep
dress
in
shirt
mind-
every day, so
I
like
had to wear it to the rink. It sucked.
Yeah.
It's like I'm literally driving down the hill to the rink. We'll walk in, change into my warm up shit, and then put my gear on after. Like, why am I wearing a shirt and tie for my car ride?
Yeah.
It used to drive me nuts. But I don't know. We always look good traveling as a team too, wearing like all dressing up rather than people rolling up in sweats. I guess I don't know. It was stupid.
I think
Yeah.
I think another good skit. I think we can maybe all relate to. Maybe in high school that you did this, but like your first time either smoking or drinking.
Oh,
not high school.
Not high school for you. Okay.
Not
No.
high school for you? No.
No, I didn't drink
Wow.
until college.
I
Man.
was a senior in high school when I first started drinking.
I was a
But-
sophomore.
I was also a senior, but I have like just thinking back on how dumb I was when I was like 17 and just missing out on so many opportunities because I was just like a turbo nerd. The first time I ever drank, I went to a party and like all my like nerdy friends were there too. So like it was like a big party where like everybody was invited, and the girl I liked and the girl that liked me, we were both there. But instead of hanging out with her, I was with the boys playing Street Fighter in the basement. I was just like, looking back, I'm like, what am I doing? Thank God I don't do that anymore as much. But like, it's just one of those things. It's just like, oh my God, just looking back at my life, and like, it is a skit. It's like a high school skit. Just, bad
I
time.
mean-
is that a euphemism for Fight Club? Street Fighter
I-
5? Like,
no, no, literally playing Like I went
Oh
to
my
a
God,
party
okay.
and bought an Xbox to play Street Fighter.
So we were in the locker room. This must have been spring. So I must have been in there for spring track and field. But the Lax Bros in our school always did locker boxing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Um,
locker boxing.
oh, yeah.
I'm outing myself, but I love locker boxing.
Okay, well you're gonna know exactly where this goes, Pat. For one day they decided kicks were legal in locker boxing.
Why?
Oh no!
They were trying to spice up the locker boxing. The thrill of regular old locker boxing in your lax gloves had gotten to them. And
helmet, right?
the actual no.
You didn't wear helmets? That's the whole point of locker boxing. You can't hurt each other.
The very, very first fight with the kicks, someone roundhouses the other kid in the fucking nose. Their nose goes like over fucking here. And we're all just staring at him. And he's like, am I okay? And we're like, no, you gotta go to the hospital. Like, his nose was like under his eye. It was crazy. Which
Nice.
reminds, oh god, I can't believe I have two of these stories. So freshman year, I was at a football game. We were at the varsity football game, and some kids were just like play fighting or whatever, and one of them like goes to kick, and one of them blocks it, and it hits like his finger in the right way, so it gets bit 90 degrees the wrong way. And so he's freaking out, and he's like, "Oh my god, what do I do?" And I'm not proud of this moment, but what I said was, "I mean, I don't know, dude, but let me get a picture."
Yo, let me
And then
get a
he got-
selfie real quick, bro.
Yeah, and then he got surrounded by people taking, so he couldn't get out because everyone was trying to take photos of him, which was sort of my fault. Did you guys ever tape your friends to a wall using duct tape?
No.
Ah, shame.
I that was how a kid on our hockey team ended up stuck overnight in the locker room.
What?
We did not do that. We took him down. And the person
Well, I'm not bad people.
volunteered.
I wasn't there for it, but I heard about it after the fact, and
That's crazy.
Yeah,
There
awful.
wasn't enough like truly awfulness in this show for it to have really been high school. They didn't. They didn't really bully anyone.
These are the stories I can tell you, by the way.
Yeah,
These are the ones that I can tell you without worrying about my.
I shared a locker
future
room with
as
hockey kids.
as a senator or whatever.
What-
You know,
What's that legal term where like it's like after 10 years it's cool you can
Statute of limitations.
the statute of limitations are not up on Pat yet. Yeah.
no, they aren't. They definitely aren't.
I
Yeah,
was the kid who got stuck up onto the wall, actually.
Did you volunteer?
Yes and no.
Okay. fair
So
enough.
I'm
at
giving-
the
I'm giving-
time,
I'm giving you a hug, bro.
so at the time I was dating. Well, I was semi-dating this girl who I actually really liked at the time. I
I
don't
hope
like her
so.
anymore because she was a horrible person. But basically, she had said, "Hey, we want somebody to get up on this wall," and it was a sliding door. It was like one of the doors to get into the closet, and I was on the inside because they wanted to surprise the teacher because they needed to get in, and it was basically like PE basically. So they were like, "Hey, we've got 3 rolls of duct tape. Why don't you get inside?" I basically did like the whole arms and legs spread, and I got stuck there. They closed me in the door, and my hand was like literally touching the door seal, and it took like at least an hour. It felt like an hour just hanging there, and after a while I started hearing like the tape kind of start to peel, and I was like, oh. Then immediately I feel like this little pull, and then just this dude slams the door open, and I hit my hand on the other side of the door seal, and like it felt like I broke my fucking hand.
Oh.
It hurt so bad. And then he was like, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And he started yanking me off the door, and he started calling people to get me out.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yikes.
Okay.
Jesus.
This has been fun, though we've only spent about half, if that, time talking about this show. Do we have any other topics on the show we want to hit before we wrap up show?
Can I do my one story that relates to the show that also relates to real life?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So this happened while I was watching this show on my rewatch. At my gym, we have like 9 ellipticals, and I'm watching the first episode of the riverbank scene where like the awkward girl and the dude are just standing there next to each other. 9 ellipticals. I'm the only person on an elliptical, and the girl comes over and takes the elliptical right next to me during the scene of this happening. And so I was like, I look over, she like looks at me, we don't say anything or whatever. I'm like, are we having a moment? Like, are we doing what is happening here? But then, of course, I'm watching the scene. It's funny as fuck. And so I'm just doing my elliptical thing. I'm just like, so like, yeah, that got ruined real fast if there was ever a chance of being a girl at the gym. But I just loved how it's like that scene was happening to me in real life at the exact same time.
Honestly, you know what's freaking crazy? That girl, your first cousin.
Wow. Amy, that's you? But that's it. I just thought that scene was just it got so elevated because of what was happening to me in the moment.
So,
Oh yeah, I mean that's legendary.
Yeah, it was great.
that is really funny. So is there another show called The Daily Lives of High School Boys or Girls? But it includes does it include the same characters or
It
No,
is the
it's complete-
wasteful days of high school.
completely
Girls.
different.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of
nominated that
hoping
last few weeks,
it would
actually.
have some crossover. I looked into it because I think everyone was likable enough for me to enjoy crossover material from
Mhm.
this, but it doesn't. It's completely different girls.
If you like this show, I like Wasteful Days of High School Girls like a smidge more, but it's very similar where some of it hits, some of it's like a huge miss. But they play it's more of the girl tropes. They do a lot of that where the smallest girl in the entire class is actually 19. She's the oldest, so they play that joke a lot, like the lolly jokes. It's pretty good if you're a fan of this show.
Fair enough. Alrighty, yeah, let's get into our final thoughts and our scores. Miles, why don't you start?
Sure. Overall, the show was enjoyable, though probably not something that I would have ever seeked out without Watch Club. But that is the point of Watch Club. It was a good time. There were definitely some duller moments, some skits that frankly I don't even remember, which is probably why we didn't talk about them. Because I can't remember being disappointed by skits, but I know I didn't like enough skits to fill the entirety of the 12 episodes. But it's a pleasant watch. If you ever need something that's just an easy watch or whatever, watch it. And if you're not in the mood for watching this, definitely check out a highlights video on YouTube. I think that's worth doing. There are some pretty funny skits in this, and almost no context is required to understand any of it. That's my thoughts. So I'm giving this a 7. I think it's fine. It's enjoyable. It's a good time.
Nice. All right. What about you, Kat?
So I really enjoyed my rewatch. I enjoyed my original watch as well. This show was definitely a treat to come back to, and it was something that I kind of needed because the last week for me has been a little much. But today it was so refreshing just to sit back and watch something that even though I've already watched, it's hilarious. If you're looking for a good time and want to just dedicate 1 or 2 days just to kind of chilling out, laughing your ass off, this is a show for you, honestly. And because I think that so strongly, that's why I'm giving it a 9. I'm not giving it a 10 because there are some things that don't hit as much. And if this isn't your show, I mean, of course, you're probably not going to give it as high of a score. But for me, this show it's a few jokes away from a masterpiece. But yeah, that's my score.
Fair enough. All right. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, originally I gave this show an 8 my first time watching it through. On my rewatch, I think it kind of made me realize how much better shows like Nishi Joe, like Asobi Asobase are, which now I feel like I should raise their score. Kind of like Miles said, I think if you want to either just YouTube highlights or maybe have this on your second monitor type of thing and you just kind of casually watch it, I feel like it's kind of one of those shows. But overall, I had a good time. If you're just looking for, if slice of life isn't your thing and you still need a show to relax to, I think this is kind of the vibe I would go with. So, yeah, I think it's fine. I think I'm gonna give it a 7. I think 7's kind of fair. That's where I lean it. So yeah, 7.
7. All right. And yeah, I think I have it at a 7 as well. I don't think it's bad. It's weird because I don't think it's bad because so I don't want to give it a 6, but I also in no way in hell I don't think I could ever give this an 8, even if the jokes were hitting that hard, just because there's not a lot of substance to it. It's funny, it's clever, but it's also not something that's gonna change your perspective on life or, you know, not something I don't think I'll ever come back to. I mean, a second season I would watch it if I was instructed to by Watch Club, but not something that I would seek out, like Miles is saying. It's not. I definitely don't think I would have watched this on my own. So, but that's what's good about Watch Club. It's a nice little. It's the reason we do it in the first place. So yeah. All right, that brings our average score to a total of 7.5 out of 10, which is. Wow, this is an 8.24 on
Yeah.
that. What the
Yep.
what the fuck? Okay. God, all right. I mean,
Yeah.
again, like I get why people like it. I
For,
just, to me,
for
like the Mal user base too. I'm surprised, like that this would be that high. You feel like it'd be more critical of it, I guess.
for context, this is 0.01 lower than Millennium Actress, which we
Just gave it like almost
9.4.
9.4, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. That's really funny. Yeah, I don't know. This is good though. So yeah, that's our discussion on Daily Lives of High School Boys. So now, Miles, what did we vote on and decide to watch?
Sure, we voted on shows. Those shows included Link Click, Girls Last Tour, The Wasteful Day of High School Girls, Classroom of the Elite, and Princess Principal Crown Handler. In third place, we have Link Click. Suck it, Pete.
Hey, that's
Um,
another legacy point. We're getting there.
you got 5 of them now.
Let's go.
Um, in second place, we have The Wasteful Days of High School Girls.
Wow.
Its
Okay.
second legacy point, I believe. And in first place, we have Girls Last Tour. So that is what we will be watching.
It looks so funny. I know. I don't know if it's meant to be a funny show or not, but the cover art to me is just so funny. Like just chibi girls in a tank, and imagining like them at war. It just seems so funny to me. I don't know why. Like just like the horrors of war.
Yeah, they're the
And then
last
this is-
survivors of a war-torn city. This looks hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, like the chibi art style. They're just sitting there on their tank, like chilling, like, oh, I'm so cold, like I'm out camping or something. I'm laid back camp. I don't know. It's good. I'm excited for this. It'll be fun. This combined with our Secret Santa shows is gonna be tough. I'm excited though. But yeah, all right. Let's nominate for God. What day will that be?
The 12th.
Well, no, that
Oh,
we are
okay.
watching for the 12th.
26th.
So the 26th, that is Boxing Day. So what will we be voting on for watching on Boxing Day? Miles, what are you nominating?
So we have 4 people here today.
Mhm.
And that means that it's time to strike while the iron is hot. Recently, someone very important to me joined the Discord again after a long
You
absence.
doing Rosari, you motherfucker.
Oh no.
And that person is my very good friend Hastek, of course.
Oh,
And
God.
what I want more than anything in this month of December is for Has to come on another watch club. And there's one way to ensure that, and that's to nominate Rosario Vampire Season 2. Which I'm gonna do.
Every day I pray for your demise. I hope you know that.
Just want to say, the healthy birth of his child, number 2 on the list of things. What's in the month of December? Should we keep that in? I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's a little
Now I got
dangerous.
evidence
I'm
against
sorry.
you.
All right, I'm sorry that, but I just thought that was again. I know that that's what you meant, but it's funny. You're not gonna say anything because you don't want to jinx it. I get that. So, all right, we'll move on. Kat, what are you nominating?
Okay. So I am going to continue with the with what I was nominating last watch club, which is Wasteful Days of High School Girls, because I have not seen it and I want to. Now I'm struggling to think about whether or not I want to vote for Rosario Vampire Season 2, because that means I'm going to have to watch Season 1 and Season 2.
Guess what, Kat? You don't have a choice. You have to vote for it either first,
Yep,
second, or third.
You actually have to vote for it, Kat.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm thinking the same thing about this. So you're not alone. Yeah. All right. So yeah, did you say
Strategery.
big braining it? All right. Pete, what about you?
Apparently, I don't sell this show well enough, so I'm going to try a little bit and read a smidge of the synopsis. I'm nominating Link Click, It's about two friends who provide a special service using their extraordinary powers to let them enter photographs. They jump into pictures brought to them by their clients in order to grant their wishes. Through the eyes of the photographer, they live through the events surrounding the picture and try to decipher how to solve their client's request. It has an 8.77 on Mal. I've heard nothing but good things. This is my 90th time recommending the show. Hopefully, this is the last time I'm recommending this show. Blink Click is my nomination.
Alrighty. And I am finally allowed to nominate this, so I'm going to. Summer Ghost. Let's watch Summer Ghost and get it off of all of our plan to watch lists. And I know we'll all be busy around Christmas time. And what sounds better than watching a 45-minute movie,
39.
39-minute movie here? Wow, so that means it's $4 to rent on Amazon. That means I'm paying $10 or $1 per every minute or 10 minutes. That's kind of nuts. Yeah, let's watch Summer Ghost. I'm curious. I'm intrigued. So yeah, I think that wraps up our watch club.
Thank you, Chitanda. If you have made it this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you are watching and or listening to us on. If you're a fan of our Anime Jeopardy, we just came out with Anime Jeopardy 8 last week, so check that out. Otherwise, next week we'll be doing something anime related. Haven't decided yet. I'll figure it out. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.